Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's K2 from the United Souls crew. Welcome to our episode 3 rewind. This was episode 3, ouch my knee. We had a whole bunch of stuff happen in this episode. Like I said, we're still kind of making our way, feeling out all these different pains and aches that we're feeling. You can see in this episode, Kams starts to really feel it in his knees. I think at this point we've been walking for probably about 4 or 5 days. This episode is like maybe between 2 days or so as we walk from out from Cam's house in Eagle Rock, kind of leaving the Eagle Rock nest, and he walks us through his neighborhood and kind of shows us some of the spots that he's familiar with, and then we kind of just keep wandering right along Colorado through Pasadena, and we met up with Cam's cousin's barber shop, The Show. That was a lot of fun. Those guys had all kinds of crazy energy, and we hung out there for a little bit, and then kind of got prepared for our first overnight renegade camping experience, where this is the first night where we didn't have a house to sleep in. We were going to be out in our tents and finding a little spot off the side of the road in the middle of the night and just kind of camping and trying to get up early in the morning so we can get out and be back on the road before, we're found or anybody trips out, because these, sometimes we had to find places that were, just off the cut or somewhere on the side of the road and things like that. So that was really very interesting. Some of the guys like Jono and Cam, they had never really camped before, so this was a huge introduction to some renegade camping on the side of the road. And then we made it to the Angeles National Forest, where it kind of start getting up into the mountains, and takes us up to our next episode for next week, where we start walking up to Lake Arrowhead. You don't want to miss that episode. That's got some good stuff in it. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, do a deep dive. As always, I'm here with my boy Rocco. We're gonna talk about what happened. How you doing, Rocco? What's happening with you?
Great to be here again. Excited. This third episode was eye-opening.
Nice.
You can actually see the pain that you guys started to become into. And I can definitely relate. I had 2 knee surgeries, and I've gone on 1,000-mile backpacking trips, so I could feel it. I could almost feel Cam's knee aching while watching the episode.
Yeah, did you ever have to do that where you take he was like taking all these crazy steps to try to relieve the pain. He was kind of walking like a duck for a while, and I think that was kind of helping him for a little bit. But yeah, he was having some troubles with his knees, that's for sure.
I remember on some of my long-term backpacking trips that a lot of it turned out to be a mind over matter situation, where you're in extreme pain, but if you can concentrate on something else, the pain would seem to go away. Did you guys experience anything of that sort?
Yeah, actually, that kind of became something that we really got into as we walked and traveled. And as a matter of fact, it's not in the video. It's probably in between the 3rd and 4th episode, actually, when we're walking with Cam, and Cam kind of hit a wall, like I said, right between the next episodes, where he didn't really know if he was going to be able to keep going. And we actually passed by a chiropractic spot, or it was like a knee specialist, like a knee and foot specialist. And we were basically, why don't you see if you can go in and talk to the guy, and see what's going on. And he literally limped into this office, fighting back the pain. And we were just kind of waiting outside for what they would say. And he came walking out of the place, and he was walking like he was fine, like he had no more pain. And we were like, whoa, what did he do? What did he we thought maybe he might have did some handwork on him and snapped his knee back into place. We didn't know what happened. But he said basically the doctor told him, well, you're either going to stop right here or you're going to keep walking. Those are your 2 choices. And just that, I guess hearing that, basically you can either quit or keep going. There's no real way around it. He pretty much, whatever happened, like you're saying, Rocco, that mind over matter, it just kind of, it just disappeared, and he was fine then after he came out walking, and he didn't have any pain anymore. He didn't have to walk those crazy steps, but in that moment, he definitely, somehow, just from that doctor telling him that he needs to make that decision in his head, he made the decision, and everything kind of snapped back into place. So that was a really cool example of what you're talking about, that mind over matter, and being able to do some really interesting things with correcting your body and correcting that signal of pain, I guess, and turning it into something else. I don't know. That's a wild thing, though. And yeah, that was something that we came across a few times, with whether it be injuries or hunger or just being tired or needing water, just all these things. We were constantly found ourselves pushing the limits, sometimes even a little too far, but really pushing of what we were able to do with our bodies and what we were able to handle. And that was a crucial thing, because as you'll see in the next couple episodes, we end up in California, we end up in a hailstorm, lost in the middle of the night, and people, thinking they have hypothermia. It gets really, it gets real in a couple episodes. So, we had a lot of stuff thrown at us in the first 2 weeks to kind of feel, again, the first section is survival. So it was throwing at us all these things. Well, can you survive this? What about this? Can you survive that? Can you survive this? And we were just put to the test each way as we kept moving and worked our way out into the deserts, even during 115, 110 degree weather. So a lot of wild stuff coming up.
In this episode, I also noticed the barber shop really resonated with me that he stopped at the show. And for me, it held a spot in my heart, because I used to get all kinds of crazy things shaved into the back of my head when I was in the 80s and 90s.
Nice, yeah.
And to see that, it brought up some memories. And that looked like barbershops like that are like community centers.
Yeah.
Where it's like a gathering place for people. Tell me a little bit about the guy who runs that place and what that was all about.
Yeah, that was a really cool scene. That was Kams' cousin running that shop. A whole collective of barbers that were kind of working together. But yeah, like you said, there was way more people in there just hanging out, just lounging out, spread out all over chairs and stuff, just hanging, talking to us, than people were actually in the chairs getting their hair cut. But definitely a really cool community vibe right there in Pasadena. The Show Barber Shop. I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but that'd be something maybe we can check into later on. But yeah, definitely a really cool community vibe. They gave us a lot of love, and it was a perfect energy boost, because that was about halfway through the day. We were just kind of walking through the streets of Pasadena, so that was a great little energy boost as we headed out to kind of finish up the day. Those were the kind of things that kind of kept us going, those type of interactions. It would just kind of naturally happen, where we'd just be walking for a little while, and then we just bump into someone or bump into something that a place that we knew about, and we spend some time there. Like you see a little bit later on in the episode, we met up with this gentleman named Bill, and he was just hanging out on his porch. He was just drinking some coffee, and with his other buddy, they were drinking some tea. And we were just walking by and struck up a conversation. I think we might have asked a question about a street, and then next thing you know, they ask what we're doing, and they tell about what they're up to. And this guy Bill was a serious California historian, and he had all the history, and he actually. That clip is pretty short compared to the amount of time that we spent with him, and told us all about the different histories of California and all the different migrations and movements. And then we went into all kinds of stuff about sound design, architecture. Then we talked about earthquakes, where there's a little bit in there about the earthquakes and the fault lines and all that kind of stuff. But it was amazing every day as we would go meet people and strike up conversations. As it moves forward again, we'd be talking about stuff as we were walking in the morning, talking about a specific topic, and this happened a lot. Then sure enough, later on that afternoon, we'd bump into somebody, and they'd ask us a question about that topic or something. This was these synchronicities were everywhere as we were walking, and kind of being in the flow, where we would see signage or billboards, and then that would come up in a conversation or something like that. So it was a ongoing things like that were happening. And this was an example of one of talking about things that we were actually talking about, the days before of California and earthquakes, and talking about history. And then we bump into a guy that like just lays it all out for us, and we were just like, wow, mind blown. Not only just great information, but so pertinent to our conversations, what we're talking about.
That right there is a prime example of the power of the group consciousness, when all of you together are concentrating your focus on one thing.
Exactly.
The universe can't help but make you bump into somebody that's going to expand on that.
Definitely, yeah. That's that amplification effect. It's so great when you can get a few people on the same page and just putting out that energy. It just kind of amplifies it. And we experienced, and again, this was an intentional thing of things that we talked about in Hollywood. Our little group of artists and musicians that we hung out with, we were talking about this kind of stuff, exploring these kind of things. Talking about things like this. Again, this was 15 years ago, so there was movies out back then like The Secret or What the Bleep Do We Know, things like that were back then, that were kind of new ideas, and now they're kind of like a little I don't know, that people kind of dismiss those type of ideas, or they've been changed and regurgitated into other things. But at the time, those, the law of attraction, this type of stuff, we were like, how does that really work? How did these things actually happen? Do we create our past? Do we create our realities? How does the universe do it? We had heard about these things, but we really wanted to experience these things and see how it, as well as the chakras and the colors and sound, like how do these vibrations and colors make us feel? How does our energy actually move and throughout our body? So these were the things that we were putting to the test, and that we kind of investigated as we went along the way. And by the end of the journey, like 100% convinced for myself, as far as creating our realities and bringing experiences to the forefront of what you're trying to do. And that includes the good and the bad, because the universe is just providing, what you are putting at it and with the energy that you're giving out to it. So you do have to be careful with that, because it is an up and down roller coaster. There's no guarantees. The universe is not only going to give you just the best of the best, it's going to give you what you're putting into it. As far as what I've experienced personally, by putting myself way out there, and putting a big chance on the universe. So that was a huge thing that we really got to play around with and discover. All right, so let's do a little deep dive. We'll check out Google Earth, kind of give an idea of where we're at with on the map, and I'll show you where we walked off to. Let's see. So as you can see here, you can still see the ocean. We're still pretty close to the water. We're only, we're about a week into the walk, but we're still about, probably only 30 miles or, so from the ocean as we get our way out to Pasadena. And as you can see, it kind of starts, we're getting into some mountain areas right here, and walking through Pasadena, still just kind of walking right through the city streets, block after block after block, and we're kind of coming up along this mountain range right here as we work our way up. This is also Route 66, as it kind of takes you out to Duarte and Azusa, kind of where we ending up for the day. You can see here's Eaton Canyon, where we did our first little night of renegade camping, kind of nestled up in the mountains, and then we jumped back down on the street to kind of work our way up around the corner, because next stop after this, as you can see, is kind of getting our way up to where Big Bear and Lake Arrowhead is, up on top of the mountain over here. So we kind of got to work our way around and then start looping ourselves up onto the top over here. And that was, that kind of comes up over here. But and then we kind of start heading out into the desert from that point. But not too much to see here. Like I said, this day of the walk was pretty much about 20 miles. That was just kind of through the city and through the different streets and stuff like that. So like I said, this was the first time we were kind of started really seeing a lot of signs for Route 66. Route 66 actually starts at Santa Monica, pretty much, and goes all the way to Chicago. So kind of one of the old time roads that goes right across the country. And I'm sure you've heard of stuff about Route 66, but lots of really cool spots and shops and stores and restaurants along that trail. So we were kind of on and off that every once in a while. A lot of times we try to walk off on the side of major roads. We'd find smaller little access roads or dirt roads, or once we started meeting people, they would kind of give us shortcuts and tell us how to get around this area, so we weren't on major highways and things like that. So we were always trying to find shortcuts and things, stuff. So, but yeah, I hope everybody is enjoying the episodes so far. Are you enjoying the rawness of these episodes? I know it might be a little crazy sometimes. This is just us in the flow of stuff. We didn't have the best equipment. We just had what we were working with. We didn't have any sponsorships or any deals with anybody. We're just kind of going with what we could come up with, and that's how we put this walk together, and it's how we shot it. And everybody has a different style of because we all had cameras. So you can see in this episode the camera popping around from Kams' camera to my camera to Jono or Doom or Chaos. So we kind of always were moving the camera around. So there's a lot of different stuff that we're trying to piece together now. So I hope everybody's enjoying it and able to pull the inspiration and kind of feel the vibe that we felt on the walk as we kind of go through. But yeah, that's what it is. It's just kind of we didn't all have wireless mics on us and things like that. So I'm trying the best of my ability to go back through and do a little bit of color correction, a little bit of sound. But I'm trying not to go too deep into that because I want to kind of preserve for what it is, and I hope you all are enjoying it for what it is. That's it for the rewind today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed episode 3, Ouch My Knee. Just want to let everybody know this is a step-by-step process. Stay inspired. Keep on walking. Put one foot in front of the other. That's how you're going to get there in the end. Just want to thank everybody. Subscribe to our videos. Make sure you like what we got going on as we grow up our channel. And we hope that this inspires you as much as it continues to inspire us. Peace and love.